So welcome everybody. My name is Alex Winieski. I'm a Toronto realtor. I specialize in the condo industry. And in this video, I want to look at power of sale and the types of listings that are currently on TRREB under power of sale. So as you may have heard in the news, there are a lot of power of sale listings right now. And the reason for that is that people are finding it hard to essentially pay their mortgage. Like anybody who is currently renewing a mortgage most likely is renewing at a higher interest rate than what they were at when they originally purchased the property or the last time that they got a mortgage. So, for investors or for anybody who was kind of leveraging, looking for real estate prices to continue to just like go up without any bumps in the road, may find themselves in trouble. Now, the news and media may have you believe that there is a crazy amount of power of sale listings on TRREB right now. There is about 200 listings, which is about double of what we are used to seeing when you kind of look at TRREB as a whole. We have thousands of listings on TRREB. So, 200 listings is, probably less than 1% of all active real estate listings. However, this does present a really good opportunity for anybody who's looking to purchase a property or looking to purchase an investment property. And that is that generally power of sales get less attention. And a big reason for that is that a lot of buyers are hesitant to act on such properties. And because of that, properties that are under power of sale are usually sold a little bit under market price. Ultimately, the bank is not really like in the business of selling and making a lot of money. There's not a lot of emotion attached as well when a bank is listing a property for sale under power of sale. Essentially, they just want to like recover as much of their principal as they possibly can and just like sell the property pretty quickly. But a few things that you need to understand if you're going to be looking at purchasing a power of sale is that there's essentially no guarantees. Like the bank is not going to guarantee anything as far as appliances working, as far as like if it's a condo, what's being covered under the maintenance fees. If there is HST that the buyer has to pay on the purchase, the bank is going to pass that on to the buyer. So it's really important to work with an agent and most importantly a lawyer that understands power of sale transactions and under what circumstances can a buyer, for example, find themselves having to pay HST, because that is one part of power of sales that usually catches buyers off guard, but then they have to kind of come down to reality and understand under what circumstances does a purchaser of a property need to pay a HST. If it's like a brand new property, if they're purchasing a property that was used as a business, but like if you're, for example, buying a used residential condominium, what are the circumstances under which tax would have to be paid on top of the purchase price? Because essentially tax is not paid on resale purchases. So anyways, I'm not going to get into the legalities because that's outside of my scope of work. I'm just going to focus on showing you the listings on TRREB. Like I have 3 listings that I want to show you. One has sold, 2 are active, so that you can kind of understand how power of sale will list and just kind of see what's available. So without any further ado, let's take a look at these listings. Okay, so here are 3 listings that I wanted to share. So 2 are condos and 1 is a detached property. So let's take a look at these condos first. So you can see this one. This is a 2-bedroom plus den, 2-bath, over 100 square foot. This is located around Yonge and Finch. The photos are, fairly basic. Like usually they're not really focused on marketing the property to the best of their abilities when they're doing power of sale. It's probably like photos that were taken by the realtor with their cell phone or maybe by their assistant. But this is a pretty large condo. It's being listed for $579,000, which I think for a 2-bedroom over 1,000 square foot at Yonge and Finch is a great value. It does mention in the listing about maintenance fees and the parking spot, but essentially when you're purchasing a power of sale, all the due diligence is on the buyer. So you're going to have your lawyer review the status certificate and determine and confirm that actually those are the maintenance fees that the unit has to pay and what's covered and etc. But let's take a look at the history of this unit, which is something that's a little bit more something that I found to be quite interesting. So as you can see, this unit's been on the market for some time. I mean, they've been trying to sell it essentially since October of 2023 with an agent. So originally this property was listed for $785,000. You can see in the old listing, like they use some professional photos to market this property, and this property just kind of remained on the market as they, tried to sell it through a struggling, essentially a struggling condo market. And right now it's being offered for $579. Like, during power of sales, like these trust companies, like this one's being sold by Home Trust Company under power of sale. Like they're not going to be, looking to create a bidding war or anything like that. So you can see that this is dramatically under the price that this property was previously being offered for sale by their, by the sellers. So, essentially it's priced to move, and they do factor in, that some buyers are just not going to understand the transaction, and because of that, they are going to get less attention. So they're basically getting attention on price. So, I found this to be quite interesting. Another one that's being sold under power of sale is this house at 4 Triview Drive. So this is a detached house. As you can see from the photos, it looks like it's recently been renovated. I don't know. There's some photos here of a dining room. I don't know if it was previously tenanted or not. I mean, actually, it does say that it has partial tenancy. So I guess there might be somebody that's living in the basement, for example, because this house does apparently have 4 kitchens. So, this may have been kind of like a rooming house or something like that. Yeah, a large 4-unit renovated dwelling in Alderwood West. So yeah, this is a 4-unit home. So I guess this is one of the reasons why the previous, seller was kind of struggling to sell it. Like they were, and actually they did sell. They sold this house for $2 million back in April. And I guess the property must have come back on the market because I can only assume that they couldn't discharge the mortgage, and that's why the lender listed it for sale. But yeah, I mean, like they were trying to sell this property on and off for 4 years now. Originally, wow. I mean, they originally purchased it in 2016, and the first time they hit the market was 2021 for 1.69. It sold conditional, came back on the market, relisted. They switched agents in 2023, trying to sell it again. And yeah, I mean, this was like a kind of like a rooming house, I guess. And lastly, let's take a look at a power of sale that's sold. So this is a 1-bedroom condo without parking, but it's over 600 square foot. It sold for $555,000 at Yonge and Shepherd. I mean, this is 88 Shepherd. It's a fairly new building. There aren't really any great pictures of inside the unit, but let's take a look, at the history, if they were trying to sell it before it was a power of sale. So yeah, they were. And actually, they even tried to do it with 2 agents. They had one agent, then they had another agent trying to sell it. They were just kind of, I guess, struggling to sell. But let's take a look at some of these photos. And so basically like it's funny, in this photo you can see the tenant in the background sitting on the bed. But yeah, it's essentially a new unit. I mean, $555,000 for a 1+den condo at Yonge and Shepherd. Whoever bought it got a really good deal. Let's just take a look maybe what they bought it for originally. I mean, this was always an investment property. It looks like it was always from day one in 2019, rented out. And I guess what ended up happening is that they renewed the mortgage and could no longer carry the property. So, I hope you found this to be, kind of a little bit eye-opening. So essentially, when power of sale listings do sell under market price and don't get a lot of attention, and in a market like we're in right now in the GTA, especially in condos, this can create a really good opportunity for somebody who is willing to go through a power of sale transaction, which essentially is no different than just like any other real estate transaction, except like the seller, which is the bank, has absolutely no emotion. You need to make sure that you have a team that you're working with that understands power of sales, especially that like HST piece. So you want to make sure that your lawyer can actually explain to you under what circumstances you would have to pay HST, because essentially nobody can guarantee that even on a resale condo, for example, you may not as a buyer have to pay HST at the end, but it's just like the circumstances are highly unlikely. But nobody knows details like if the property was used as a residential or a commercial unit. But when you're dealing with residential condominiums, most likely was a residential unit, not a commercial unit, and also, if the previous owner claimed any HST input tax credits with respect to acquisition the unit, which, I mean, essentially, unless they bought it brand new, they wouldn't have. So, doing some due diligence, and working with people that understand this type of transaction can create a really good opportunity for you as a buyer. My name is Alex. I'm a realtor in Toronto, specializing in the condo industry. I spent over a decade in Toronto condos. If you want to know more about getting into condo ownership, I do have a first-time condo buyer's guide. There's a link in the video description if you want to talk about purchasing a power of sale, what power of sales are on the market, getting a resale condominium, getting a new condominium on assignment, just basically taking advantage of this downturn in Toronto condos. If you've been kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in, the opportunity is not going to get much better than it does today. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and see you next time.